Hello YouTube, it is John L. Lance. We're continuing the reading of Dr. Halsey's journal. I know I'm using his images, but I'm getting really far in, and I'm starting to run out of things to use, so I apologize. June 3rd, 2550, Professor Laszlo Sorvad started his archaeological survey of the debris field near the village of Visegrad. With his help, and without my authority, only Section 2 leaked that this site may contain a pre-colonization meteorite with metallurgical and astrophysical scientific value. Furthermore, because of the shielded nature of the terrain and the specific timing of the strike, data the study yields could be vital. Why not just say the location is a dump site for toxins and radiologicals from the terraforming process? No one would dare set foot near the place. Nearby villagers would also more readily accept suggestions for relocation if, read, when, that becomes necessary. When feeding lies, the masses digest the simple ones most easily. This does, however, give me additional insight into how Section 2 thinks. I'll know what to look for in the future. November 23rd, 2550. The new UNSC regulation came down today regulating the confidentiality and non-disclosure of any official messenger satchel. This is on top of a long list of onerous security regulations and protocols that turn every file into a kaleidoscope manager of top-secret, eyes-only, and under threat of mandatory imprisonment stamps, warnings, threats, and seals. The Vice Admiral has obviously and uncharacteristically deflected all inquiries regarding this. Is this because of Visegrad, or perhaps some of the other rumored sites I've been collecting data on? While I do appreciate the need for the utmost security on any information culled from the site, I don't appreciate any relevant data being kept from me. If Visegrad is what we all think it might be, and if there are other such sites who has positioned themselves to say the larger picture, I don't think Sorvad is devious enough to make such a play. Who then? If that Anders girl was still around, she would have come in handy right now. About now, she was always so difficult, but this has, without doubt, become a shared interest. February 20th, 2551. Admiral Yuzarni Germany has taken our largest medical facility, the UNSC Hopeful, out of reach orbit, and with a minimal escort transitioned to dream space. Where, and more importantly, why? The Hopeful is always on the move, tending to the wounded, assisting with civilian evacuations, and mobilizing medical care when disease has ravaged the poorer colonies. Since the war has escalated, her normal escort is 5 destroyers and 6 corvettes, the latter modified to carry their own fleets of rescue vehicles. This time, Jerome's departure entirely lacked the frantic urgency that usually accompanies one of his errands of mercy. Hopefully, had only a single destroyer escort, which, according to my sources, one only prowler tagging along. I normally don't ruminate on the withdrawal of military vessels in orbit around Reach, but my interest is piqued considering that. Hopeful is the best mobile hospital and medical research facility we have. Hopeful's nav AI was unusually tight-lipped when asked by Kalmaya about their destination. Hopeful's manifest had several last-minute additions of chemicals classified as carcinogenic, mutagenic, and experimental. Their tracking numbers were accidentally garbled in the network database. What clandestine medical experiment is Section 3 conducting? Why would the Vice Admiral keep this from me? And why effectively decommission the Hopeful as the flagship wartime hospital when our services are so gravely needed? Inquires to the usual have met with dead ends. Damn this place. And on a note, I believe the Hopeful is connected to the Spartan 3s and the novel Ghost of Onyx, but forgive me if I'm wrong, it's been forever since I've read that book. February 27th, 2551. The Hopeful returned. Germany was his usual congealed, gentlemanly self and even invited me up to a look at the new flash clone organ facility. With an abrupt turn in conversation, he told me, before I could ask, that he knew I was fishing and couldn't tell me what he knew, which, in his words, was damn little. If I say anything, they'd stuff me into one of these new top-secret banded security satchels and file under open mouth incinerate. He's right. God, that sounds almost like something from Portal. I don't know why, it just makes me think of that. May 10th, 2551. Sorvad is obviously gifted with a formidable intellect, but sometimes he can be such a thoroughgoing idiot. I suspect this situation and the power he thinks he wields are going straight to his head. I've been urging him since we found the site to migrate the population and avoid any of these kinds of security issues. If he had listened to me in the first place, we wouldn't be in this situation. Spilt milk, I guess. I'm keeping one eye on the village's inhabitants to ensure they don't just disappear. Section 3 is taking no chances on the site. Nothing is out of bounds for them. As an insurance policy, I've told the Vice Admiral that these people are valuable. They are the only ones of extended exposure to the site. We may yet need to study them. Soravad assures me that the site is still secure. Only the dig team, and then only certain members of it, myself and a few other necessary parties on my side, have seen the items in question. He insists on continuing with only a skeleton crew of his most trusted people, and then he tells me that he won't tolerate another Farragut station. I simply nodded. Don't like this? Was he fishing? Or does Sorvat actually know what happened there? The real reason for the Farragut station relocation. Sorvad may ultimately prove himself a security risk. May 15th, 2552. Now we're getting into the year that the Halo video games take place, everybody. Today came with some level of vindication. For me, I'll vote a bitter one. Kalamaya caught a glimpse of several documents in the Vice Admiral's Beta 5 server while she was taking a stroll. Through the base's network, these files range from service order transfers of existing Spartan 2 soldiers to highly classified non-Spartan 2 detachments. This has been going on for years. I won't simply let this activity go. They should have kept me involved, no doubt if they are taking ludicrous shortcuts they're taking. I have a list of names with one particularly obscene man at the top. Not sure who all of the responsible parties are, but rest assured, as soon as I get a handle on these affairs with Sorvad, I'm planning on sending Kalamaya back in. Someone is going to pay for this. July 18th, 2552. Read the Vice Admiral's after-action report in the typical transparent press releases prepared by Section 2 describing the protracted battle at Sigma Oct Annis 4. I usually ignore such things. They're depressing, distracting, and irrelevant. But they were different this time. Just as the Vice Admiral dictated in our brief talk after this morning's normal reporting, UNSC forces actually repelled a Covenant onslaught. Not once, but twice in this system. It's been too long since we've had a decisive victory, and twice this has happened since 2530 at Groombridge. And we all know what that cost. Of special interest, I saw Jacob's name in his command. The Iroquois featured prominently. I found myself skipping ahead to the end, and my relief I saw he survived. More than survived, actually. He performed a remarkable bit of strategic navigation, although I detect one of Cole's gravity-assisted maneuvers as inspiration. Nonetheless, I must admit that even I found the grazing of an enemy ship that compromised its energy shields, followed by a trailing nuclear detonation, to be a singular piece of suicide foolhardiness and brazen audacity. Section 2 has zeroed in on this item as, well, already dubbing it the Keys Loop. Of more pressing concern, however, was a heavily redacted section, one whose encryption even Kalamaya couldn't break, that detailed, as far as I can tell, a groundside mission involving Blue Team? Why commit such valuable assets as Spartans when in all probability the planet was about to be glassed? Covenant reinforcements arrived after their initial assault and was repelled. Highly uncharacteristic behavior given their persistent strategy of destroying or disengaging. They usually don't expand resources on second chances. But they've done this sort of thing before, haven't they? Harvest? Meridian? I know there have been others. In any event, they must have wanted something on Sigma Octanus. We'll follow up with the usuals. July 20th, 2552. Odd. The Vice Admiral just pretended to have never given me access to those files. I surmise others may have been listening to our conversation to account for this aberrant behavior. I've noticed that recently everyone's customary overwrought sense of paranoia and security has intensified. Why is it that always games with these people? I'm tired of it. The Vice Admiral has something to hide. Something I was supposed to see in those reports. The Covenant Spartans? Am I missing something that's glaringly obvious? July 21st, 2552. Received a brief cryptic message from Soravad on this Theta channel. Major breakthrough. Latchkey discovery. Can't leave field to deliver in person. Do not trust data link I have here. This is too big, too important. We'll send through Visegrad Communication Relay Hub. Stand by. Not our normal communication protocols. This has to be big. It's been more than 6 hours. Still haven't received anything over the relay. What has he found? I've decided to wait and see, not going to second-guess him. There may indeed be a reason to keep this quiet. July 23rd, 2552. Contact lost with Visegrad Communication Relay Hub. Not a malfunction. The relay had a Level 5 communication package installed prior to contact with the Covenant, years back when insurgents had secretly infiltrated Reach before Operation Clean Sweep. It hardened our communications network. The hub was designed to withstand internal and external sabotage. Considering the urgency in Dr. Sorovad's last message and his demand for secrecy, I believe this is more than coincidence. The list of possibilities is short. All are unpleasant. Eternal subterfuge, perhaps from another Section 3 or Beta 5 project. But to what end? Insurgent action. No laughing matter if somehow the silence means the start of a larger attack exactly when we don't need that distraction. Covenant. The depth of their technology hasn't been plumbed at all. If somehow the Cole Protocol has been breached, the Vice Admiral was already aware we lost the hub and had personal addressing the situation. I mentioned the vital staff I have in the area and expressed my thoughts on the possible cause. Vice Admiral shared my concerns and promised to let me know where my people were located. And by the way, we've officially hit the start of the game Halo Reach. The first mission involves this Visegrad station. So, yeah. Enjoy, we're not actually talking about stuff that takes place in video game timeline. Minus Halo Wars. July 24th, 2552. Caught a rumor that a Special Forces unit was sent to investigate the hub and that this team, too, has disappeared. Apparently, a second team will be sent to Visegrad, but nobody can tell me what this second team is. Details on this operation are unusually sparse. Can't even determine what branch of the UNSC unit this unit serves in. Learned that the second unit is dubbed Noble Team. We'll follow up on that ASAP. Meanwhile, receiving scattered data from the usual suspects concerning atmospheric anomalies along with radar and slipspace monitoring glitches. Compared these events to those recorded near Stigma Octanus. No match. Still, a series of coincidences usually aren't a coincidence. July 26, 2552. Data in Sorovad's last message compromised. So is the entire relay hub. Received confirmation of Sorovad's death. I can't imagine what Sarah is going through right now. I've been asked to tell his family, without telling them what happened. I am the least qualified for that duty. Sorovad's archaeological expertise was invaluable. His intuitions were far superior to mine, with the residual eccentricity of his having entertained as many flights of fancy as sparks spates of brilliance. He was recruited, like Anders, when he collected cursory evidence for large-scale structures from early satellite surveys of colony worlds and Spur's slipspace signals, all indicators of non-natural design. Oh yes, he wanted in. He sensed the importance of it all. His first concern, his family, with one condition, was that they be relocated with him. More pressing right now is the discovery that Covenant zealots were behind the hub's destruction. That they are here is almost anticlimactic to me. What other logical explanation was there? Still, the enemy on Reach. Security measures are underway to preserve our discovery here, and more importantly, integrate and update Cortana with the latest intelligence from the site before Operation Red Flag. And I finally confirmed my suspicion about Noble itself. As incomprehensible as this news is, they are Spartans, and with one exception, they're clearly not mine. George is one of them. I pulled his service record, but so much has been redacted, more than usual, even for a Spartan. I'm having trouble reconciling his recent activity within Navspec-Weep. George was always physically imposing, and he seems to have grown even more in the last 2 decades. He loved Reach as a child, after all. This was his home. I expect he's glad to be back here, even under these circumstances. Perhaps particularly given these circumstances. Check pituitary function and HG hormone levels for enduring catalytic side effects. Or am I projecting my feelings of homecoming when I see George? Even more intriguing are the others on this noble team. They're considerably younger than George. The way these other moves, they're obviously augmented. They've made field modifications to my armor. I designed Mjolnir to be modular specifically to avoid this. Are they all Spartan 2s? Or as I suspect from their inelegant personas, are they substandard versions of the Spartan 2? Perhaps from a parallel program, Javelin, or some next-gen venture piggybacking on the last 3 decades of my work. All disturbing without proper indoctrination and scientific methodologies, potentially disastrous. I'm again remembered that Bendez is missing. Time permitting, I'd pursue this, but all the pieces are almost in place for Operation Red Flag. My curiosity for once must wait. If one small team of Covenant have infiltrated Reach, more will certainly follow. I must prepare for the worst-case scenario with White Glove. Can't let this distract from the real mission. Nothing else matters. Kalmayo is the only other option, but the fact that I kept her around this long even haunts me at times. I can't trust what may be our only hope for salvation with something on the verge of obsolescence, or worse. August 3rd, 2552. Cortana and I have discussed this at length, and she concurs that it is the only logical procedure. Spartan 117 and his team require expertise for this mission, which I believe will be our last and real opportunity at finding an end to the war. She will be invaluable to them in their mission to penetrate Covenant territory and deliver a decapitating blow to their hierarchy. Cortana, however, is also best suited AI and Reach to analyze the symbols and operating systems in Professor Sorda's site. The Solomonic solution that we arrived at independently was its divider. I'll copy most of our IEP translation routines to an independent module. Meanwhile, the incarnate Cortana will continue with John and Blue Team. Both operations are critical to the war effort. If Laszlo makes a breakthrough, that data would aid Blue Team in enemy space. The server data mining portion of Cortana can then be reunited, and she can update herself before Blue Team departs. I'm not without doubt. So much can go wrong with any part of either mission. Cortana is unwieldy, in some ways more dedicated and courageous than I. I also require sleep. August 5th, 2552. Module successfully copied. All tests indicate separated routine functions within normal parameters. This shouldn't take too long, I hope. So close. Sleep later. Cortana will have to leave as soon as she's ready. I hope the Autumn is refitted in time. Such multiplex existing is dizzying. Follow up with Cortana on how this feels. August 12th, 2552. Battlegroup Leviathan and Iroquois arrived at Reach for emergency repair and refit. Went to see what has been done to my Mjolnir units. We have replacement parts and possible upgrades available. All that 117 will have to be laser scanned for the new cybernetic implants. Jacob came to see me, something I was hoping for, yet dreading. As I have anticipated, Jacob was ever the gentleman. Any other ship captain would have abruptly launched into an inquisition on what an only operative was doing, meandering about the vessel. Went much better than I had imagined. We talked about Miranda, his keys loop, the Spartans, and Red Flag, what little I could prematurely disclose. We parted well, wishing each other the best. On our respective missions, I offered my hand for him to shake. He kissed me on the cheek, as I said. Ever the gentleman. Still concerned with updating the splitting Cortana. Next was my visit with John. We had just a few minutes groundside at Camp Hathcock. I told him of the coming procedures, gave his head a cursor area MRI, surgical site is acceptable, and that he would have a new mission soon. Many things have changed, not John. He isn't the living dead I've seen when so many veterans become numb to the trauma, nor has he internalized the incessant brutality that defines his many campaigns. In many ways, he's still the indefatigable, undefeatable boy I found on Urandus II, eager, brave, innately grasping his role in all this. Seeing him again, and recently George talking to Sarah Sordav about Laszlo makes me realize how much I've lost and all the reasons for those sacrifices. John asked after Mendez and all the others we have called family. I shared what little I knew. Protocols and security clearances be damned. So many are gone. We sat together quietly for a time. August 24th, 2552. Shown a hologram of an object, or at least a piece of an object. This is very frustrating. Wasn't even told what branch or group of Venoni this came from, much less its point of origin. It's imperative for my complete analysis. Curiously, the object embedded in a stone fragment shares many of the iconic language code forms we discovered at the Xeno-archaeological site under Sword Base. From this supplement data, which I couldn't copy and had to replicate from memory, I've hypothesized that the language code and hence the object derives from predecessors of the Covenant are from an unknown, more ancient alien culture. Deciphering the message on the object, however, eludes me for the moment. A more definite analysis certainly requires the actual object and all relevant etiological data. I only shared this with my undisclosed Oni counterparts because I knew it would get back to Ackerson and inform him that he possesses an authentic alien artifact, one that he would need me to decipher. So I'll get everything he has. August 27th, 2552. Met with all the Spartans we could assemble on Reach to review preliminary details of Red Flag. A decapitation, capture, suicide mission, as if there was a choice. Yet, with all the desperately long odds missions they've accomplished, I remain hopeful. Not for a victory, only a temporary peace with the Covenant, long enough to glimpse their motivations, or unveil this proto-culture they seemingly sprang from. Either would give us an advantage enough to survive. I was thrilled to see my Spartans once more. John, Kelly, Fred, Linda, Isaac, William, and Lee. George, obviously preoccupied. But so many were absent. Sam, Kurt, Arthur, Sheila, Solomon. I didn't think I'd take it so hard. Thankfully, I had already met with John and prepared myself to avoid an embarrassing sentimental display. I need to see me strong. Even Spartans need someone to believe in. Are they ready? Yes. All the training, discipline, augmentation, and bloodshed. They'll never be more ready. The equipment, almost there. The Major Mark V system has proven itself in the field, but it's now one small operation and a few tests from completion. Cortana, parts of her anyway, continues to learn and decipher the alien proto-culture language, codes, forms, and hopefully technologies. She'll continue to update her separated portion until the very last possible moment. Amalgamation of John and Cortana? Much more, I hope, than the sum of their parts. This will be a sight to see. All my discoveries, all my sacrifices, all come down to these next few days. If only there were time to analyze my feelings, the technological implications, but there's no time for introspection. Only 4 small tasks remain for me. That lie about all the Spartans gathered here, save for Gray, will that come back to haunt me? August 29th, 2552. Surgery on John was flawless. Cortana maddeningly rechecked each connection a dozen times as I fused. Subject has an astonishing amount of scar tissue on entire body, evidence of 3 large subdural hematomas, but no evidence of resultant brain damage. His recovery well within regenerative parameters. 3 hours until Mark V AI integration tests. Anticipate no surprises. August 30th, 2552. Tracking Ackerson's possible involvement in the missile incident at field test. Sent my official protest back by the Vice Admiral straight to UNSC burden of proof. Also sent suggestion that he may have suffered a mental breakdown and advised that he be taken into custody pending evaluation. Reports of him are his agents snooping near the archaeological castle site. If so, doubtful. He would find anything. He's looking under the wrong rock. Scattered reports of increased enemy activities nearby as well. One can only hope that the two will cross paths. To do. Prepare Kalmaya. Finalize and complete Cortana firmware upgrade. Both checked. Check. Upgrade the package for transfer. Uncheck. The tunnel, if there's time. Check. Net purge enable XX147. Check. Note to Miranda. Send out on hopeful. Check. Prep all backups from Umbra slipspace shot to Earth. The Covenant on reach. Not a scout party. They're here in mass. I've seen the reports of how contained the situation is. Military shorthanded for it's hit the fan. We've prepared here in the lab. I've been ready for this since Harvest. But the experience here, it's still sinking in. Must go, soon. Gerard says perimeter is compromised. Base AI denies it. I'll trust Gerard in my own security protocols. Skeleton personnel refused to go. The bastards finally found us. Took long enough. Purge code is Beta Foxtrot 998741. Override failsafe. Ragnarok in case something happens. To me and the journal survives. Noble team here. It's time. And that's the end, folks. That is the end of Halsey's journal. I hope you enjoyed this read. It took me a long time to get this done. And I'll get back to work on some more readings in the future, and who knows? Who knows what else we'll be foreseeing. But if you have any questions on future projects you'd like to see, or if you'd like for some scans of the photos in Halsey's journal, I'll find a way to get them up. If I can't, I apologize. This is John L. Lance saying, hope you were ready to finish the fight.